Good morning, fish keepers. Cam here from thefishroom.co.nz, and we've done it again. What a week it's been. We've made it to Friday. Let's do coffee. Oh, that's exactly what I wanted. That's fantastic. All right. So first and foremost, I got a message from Nick late last night, early this morning, saying he's had a family thing that's come up, so we've postponed our time with him. He'll be with us in 2 weeks' time, so we've rescheduled that. So for today, it is just John and myself. Good morning, John. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning, Cam. I'm doing well, thanks. Yourself?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm glad that it's Friday, and I'm glad that it's we're coming into the end of the year, so I can get some more time off.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. So I've got a little bit of stuff on my list today. Nothing too much. Like I said, it's been a pretty hectic week for us down here or in here. It's actually been pretty hectic since about the start of December, and it's I'm pretty sure I said last week I feel like I finally caught up, but this week was absolutely not the case. I haven't caught up, so we're getting pretty close to it, I hope. So yeah. Firstly, let me have a wee look at my writing, which I can't read. I'm not sure if I've spoken to many people or anybody about this, but out the back in what I'm now calling the hatchery, which is where we're keeping all the fish and trying to spawn, all that kind of stuff. When I first moved in, I noticed that there was a drain on the floor. So we've gone to try and use that to try and set up automatic water changes out the back and all that sort of scenario. But the drain is blocked, unfortunately. So we've got a plumber coming in this afternoon. Hopefully they can unblock it, and hopefully that we can move along with the next step with using automatic water changes, because it'll be a real pain if we can't use that with the amount of tanks that we've already got, or the amount of tanks that we're looking at moving. So there's a little bit of a progress report of what's going on out back, essentially. Morning, Shelley. How are you? Also, Operation Duckweed is well and truly underway. You'll need a drainee, not a plumber. That makes sense because plumbers don't do drains. He did say he was sending someone. He might have actually said a drain layer. I'm not entirely sure, but they thought they're fairly confident in how they will be able to get it cleared. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed they get it going okay. I think he said something about pouring some acid of some description down the drain, trying to break it all up and see how it goes. But he knew that he's been in and he's had a look, so he knows what the task is. So fingers crossed he's got the right people in the right places to help us out. Hey Jamie, how you doing, buddy? Yes, Operation Duckweed is underway. I've got it out of a majority of the tanks in the shop. There is still one tank that is totally covered, and I needed that yesterday for our video that we did on duckweed. So if you haven't seen it on YouTube yet, we did a video about duckweed. So majority of it is gone from out the back. In the shop. I'm still going out with my tiny little scoop every day, getting a few more bits and pieces here and there, but we're getting very close to all of it gone. Mm-hmm. And today I'm going to completely clear the one that's completely covered, so that should be most of the shop tanks de-duckweeded. It's obviously a daily process. And then out the back, we've got two that I'm leaving with the duckweed. One's got the Moscow guppies in it, and the other one is what we're keeping axolotls in. We do sell duckweed, so I still need to keep a wee supply of it going on. But I just want to really try and limit it to those two tanks, which basically means all my nets and everything are being stuck in the one spot. So, we're getting pretty close to that. The tanks out the back in the hatchery, they're still speckled with it, but we're getting there further and further day by day. We're getting there.
It'll take time, but there'll come a point where you can look back and there's no duckweed where it's not.
I know, it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, and got to be very mindful that just a tiny little speck on my finger will be enough to transfer the disease everywhere again. Yeah. So
I've just discovered it in my tank.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't know where or how, but it's come in from somewhere. It could even have been a dried up piece that was on a stone.
Yeah.
It was just reanimated.
Yeah. It's easy. It's so good at what it does. It's either love it or you hate it. definitely has a purpose, and it can be a real pain in the butt. So it depends on if you like it or not. So the box behind me there, that one there. No, I'm not even using my phone. That box there. What am I doing, man? Anyway, that box there in the back behind me is full of nets. So I've got plenty of nets going on. I get really frustrated with nets as soon as they lose just a tiny bit of shape out of square. They're ridiculously hard to catch fish out of, particularly small like fish that we're selling. So very, very quickly they get thrown out the back and a new one gets replaced with it because I just get insanely frustrated trying to catch fish when it's not doing its job properly. Glad you enjoyed the video, Brian. Believe it or not, I enjoyed making it. I never thought I would enjoy making a video about duckweed, but I most definitely did. Speaking of making videos, today is Frozen Food Friday. The video is made, and I've learnt my lesson. I uploaded it before we went live, so there'll be no stuttering, there'll be no breaking up of our connection. So today we looked at mice shrimp. Yeah, mice shrimp. So it was a pretty interesting bit of learning for me and watching how the fish interacted with the slightly bigger frozen food. So that'll be out probably an hour or so after we have jumped off here. I'm very much enjoying doing the Frozen Food Friday. So a big thanks to Cam from the Aquarium Project for bringing up the idea. I know he's enjoying doing it as well. So it's just a fun little series that both of us are doing and learning a little bit of different things and trying different foods for everyone to sort of have a look at what it's like and how it feeds to help you all make your decision if you want to feed your fish it, basically.
So which fish food is it you've got going today then?
Today was mice shrimp.
Mice shrimp.
Yeah. So I forgot to record the angelfish when I was feeding them all it, and they absolutely destroyed it. So that's a little note that I sort of added to it or should have been through it. So the angels absolutely destroyed the mice shrimp. They loved it just like that. But I
think that they like because it can be quite a bigger.
Yes. Yeah. So, and they are a little bit bigger. So they just absolutely took it, smashed it straight away. The green terrors are pretty much the same. So I think it was a size thing. I don't want to spoil too much about the video. I did definitely forget to show the video of feeding the angelfish in it, so which is unfortunate. But I think you're right. The size is a contributor. The fish that we predominantly feed in the shop are a lot smaller, so the smaller frozen food or the smaller food in general is what we need to be paying a bit more attention to. So take that into account with the grain of salt.
The larger one, it must catch the water movement more and mimic live food, which must kickstart.
Possibly. Interestingly enough, they absolutely smashed the baby brine shrimp, but again, it could be because it's just trickling through the water. Because they're quite small. I also learned because obviously while I'm feeding these foods, I'm doing a little bit of research on what's being fed at the same time, learning about the organism that's going into the tank as well, just so I've got a bit more information to continue to talk about and stuff like that. So in my research for the mice shrimp, I found that frozen brine shrimp actually has very little nutrition, and frozen mice shrimp are significantly higher in nutrition when frozen, but when fresh, brine shrimp absolutely hammers the mice shrimp. So something in the freezing technique destroys it, which I think is really interesting.
That's quite strange.
Yeah.
Very interesting, though.
Yeah. I thought it would have been pretty similar, but once it gets frozen, it just completely changes its dynamics. So, yeah.
Maybe something in the mucus that covers them.
Yeah, not sure. Have I done stuff on the benefit of live foods? Not yet. That will be all part and parcel of once I finish working out how to cater with the sending of them, which actually brings me into my next thing because we've been obviously doing those tests. So once we've managed to keep the live food alive for transport for minimum of 3, but preferably 4 days, then I'll be able to get into some deeper research. We all obviously know that live food is, generally speaking, the best option, but I'll do a bit of research and I'll do some more fact-finding missions on particular things that we're feeding and try and bring up some more in-depth information. I'll do a video on them as well, and we'll get John to write a blog about it as well, or even a more in-depth profile when it comes to, like, here's brine shrimp that you can buy from us. These are why brine shrimp is a good option, etc., etc. So that is absolutely all in the pipelines. Just need to work out this transporting part of it before we go too much further in that. So the trial that I did last week, the first one I tried with just the green water from the Daphnia. Set it on 8 o'clock Friday morning. I was hoping we get through to 8 o'clock Monday morning. Saturday morning there was a little bit of a die-off, but not too much. Sunday morning there was a more of a significant die-off, and then come Monday morning they were all dead. So that didn't last 3 days, unfortunately. So with the green water, it wasn't an option. I then scooped another group of Daphnia out, put them in the same container, just with fresh water, completely clean. Again, 9 o'clock in the morning, well, it was Monday morning or Tuesday morning, came the next day, and they're all gone as well. So fresh water wasn't an option as well. So I have spoken to, I don't know the guy's name, but the guy that runs Premier Aquatics over there. And he was saying that I watched this video of him unboxing all their fresh stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they all come, he was saying that because it was so cold outside, they've all come, everything's come looking absolutely amazing. And they all come in chili bins, and they all come with cooler packs, and they leave in the fridge. So I think that the next test I will do it again with the green water, but then I'll put it in the fridge and see how long that lasts. And then record that, and then we'll do the same thing with fresh water and put it in the fridge as well and see how long that lasts. So that might be the way forward, keeping them cool. And if that's the case, then we're already planning on sending them in a chili box type thing. But I was going to put them with a cool pack if that's what works as well. Need to have a chat with them. I will write that name down. Yeah, I'm trying to, fingers crossed, get longer than 2 days. Like, I know that we can do overnight with it, but just in case it doesn't last overnight, I think the minimum that I really want to try and get it to push is 3 days, ideally 4, but 3 days is what I want as a minimum.
I mean, when we buy over here, we keep it in the fridge every time.
Yeah, and
you can get, I mean, if you're lucky, you can get about 5 days.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I'd seen. Once it's in the fridge, it really increases that shelf life. So that'll be the first thing to look at. Because 2 days isn't. I think it needs to be a minimum of 3, but I really want 4, just in case. And I guess that depends on how we sell it. If we're looking at selling it as just a starter kit, then 2 or 3 days, and then you're putting it into beginner colony, no big deal. But if we wanted to send it as this is a food that you can feed, and you wanted to buy it every couple of weeks sort of thing, you get it after 2 days transit. You still want to be able to have a couple of days of it living to be able to feed it for these couple of days. So and I totally agree. Like, it's been quite warm here, and I've watched my all 3 of my colonies crash a little bit over the last couple of days because it's been so hot. So I'm doing water changes every day, just trying to keep that under control. The warm temperature really isn't helping them even in the tubs. So cooler temperature seems to be the way. Well, at least from what we're seeing so far. And the same will be with the brine shrimp as well. The brine shrimp will pretty much be the exact same thing. We need to make sure it's stable for minimum of 3-4 days in transit. They'll be easy enough to, same as the Daphnia, harvest, seal, send within 10 minutes type of thing. So we're relatively fresh as soon as it's leaving, but it's got to have that shelf life as well. So we'll be trying air temperature and then cool temperature as well. But I think the cool temperature will probably work just as well for them as well. Yeah. And I agree, the Aramex, we were using them last year. I had a wee incident with them which frustrated the heck out of me. So how the legend goes, we sent some Pleco ceramics, which are made of ceramic. All of our stuff we send non-signature, and we do that because the likes of anything perishable, fish, frozen food, live plants, etc. If someone's not home to sign for it, that goes back to the depot, and that could increase the delivery time from overnight to, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 days in that case. So everything goes non-signature. So we sent this pick of ceramics that was delivered the next day, no dramas there, or maybe the day after, where it was, but it was delivered broken. So I sent out a new one and then went to make my claim, and Aramax said we don't insure anything that is not signed for on delivery, which I thought was absolutely appalling as a courier company that's pretty much taking any liability away from them. They get the package in their hand, throw it anywhere they want.
Altogether. Generally, you can select signature, a delivery guarantee, and the insurance. They're 3 separate services that you would add on to any auction. So
yeah, we don't quite have that thing here. We've just basically got authority to leave or signature.
Right.
But it's all pretty much insured regardless. It was all my screen was saying, but I was absolutely appalled at the fact that they take no responsibility if it's an authority to leave. Sorry. Again, that just means that from the second it's left me, they can just throw it wherever they want, do whatever they want with it, and there's no accountability for it. So that was the end of that. They are a lot cheaper, but cheap is not always the way forward. So we stopped using Aramex late last year, and that's them. We're solely using New Zealand Post now, which for the best part are really good. Yep, I don't disagree with you. It's all learning curve. We've got to try and work it out. If it's possible to be done overseas, then it should be possible to be done here as well. It's absolutely possible to be done overseas. There is a market for live food over in Europe. So there's a way, and I'm happy to just tinker away with it in the background, just to try and work out how to do it and get it right. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right. We'll find out. Time will tell. And both of you are right. They are really bad for stuff like that. And I think a lot of it. I think there is definitely some couriers with bad reputations, but I think often it can come down to the individual courier itself. Some of them just don't care. Others are absolutely phenomenal. The driver for Post Haste that delivers to me is absolutely incredible. He doesn't do our pickups or anything like that, but he definitely delivers to me, and he is phenomenal. He makes sure the people sorting their stuff are careful what they do. So at least Post Haste and Nelson and the delivery guy and the warehouse team are really good because he makes sure they're good. But it all comes down to individual branches. It all comes down to individual courier drivers. I know there's a branch up north that every time stuff goes to that specific branch that we have a lot of issues with it. It's just unfortunate how it is. So yeah. G'day Cameron, how you doing, buddy? I was just talking about how your fantastic idea of Frozen Food Friday has been a good bit of fun, and I thought it was a great idea. So I'm enjoying doing it, and I'm I'm pretty sure I know you've been enjoying doing it as well. So that's a good time. So I've got some words written down here, and I can't read my writing. It's been frustrating me since the second I sat down to it. It was the first thing I wrote. It looks like baby parrots, but it's nothing to do with baby parrots. Or maybe it's bubbly patience, which again has nothing to do with... Oh, I know what it is. I'll write that down again. We can talk about it later. Good times. It is Friday, mate. What frozen foods do you have sitting in your freezer at the moment that you haven't tried? Today we looked at Meister shrimp. So yeah, what are you going to have a play around with? So yesterday we had some blue lacustrous angelfish come in. Got approximately 100 of them. They're an absolutely gorgeous fish. You would have seen in a lot of my feeding videos and walk around videos talking about the big adults that are up in that tank, which I've now moved, put them in a 3-foot tank, so I felt quite bad putting them in a 2-foot tank. But blue lacustrous are just phenomenal rainbow fish. Absolutely gorgeous, and so we've got a few of them coming through in a couple of weeks' time. Should put on a little bit of size, but they're absolutely gorgeous. So we might have to do a wee feature video on feeding them, and maybe a wee write up on them, because they're just phenomenal, gorgeous fish. And like we said before, feeding fish is often like the real fun time. And have you kept them before, John? Have you kept blue lacasters? No, blue lacasters. Blue rainbows?
No.
Are they available over there?
Yeah, you can get them. It's just not a fish I've ever really had a tank at the time. Seen them and things.
So cool. I would encourage you to go out and get some. I don't know if you've got a tank available for them, but they're so much fun to feed. They're just like, they just swarm it, hit it, smash it, and run away again. They're just so much fun, and they've got a gorgeous color as well. So, definitely encourage you to give that a go. So I'm pretty stoked that we've got, like I said, about 100 of them sitting in the shop or out in the hatchery. So a couple of weeks' time, we'll push them through. But they're absolutely beautiful. So I think we might have to do a wee feature video and a wee write up on them, because they're just phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
You're right, though. Feeding time is the fun time. So whenever there's a fish, it's different and entertaining. It's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just wonderful fish to feed, and I think rainbow fish are very, very underutilized in the hobby. And I believe that because when they're in shop tanks, they're normally quite small and they've got no color. Or they're a little bit drab because they're not of size. Give them 6 months in the right environment in your home tank, and they don't call them rainbow fish for a reason. They're absolutely beautiful. So,
is this are you talking about the neon rainbows?
No, that's the Praycocks. I also thoroughly enjoy them. No, so these are the blue lacaster, so the blue rainbow fish. So they get a little bit bigger, that yay kind of size. So they don't get huge.
Oh, right, okay, right. Yeah, I've had the neon ones, but I've never had anything. They're the only rainbows that I've kept. Yeah,
I quite like the neon blues. I think they're awesome as well. Yeah, do it, Cam. You won't regret putting the Praycocks in there. They are just super awesome fish as well.
Yeah,
massive, huge. In general, I'm a fan of rainbow fish, but I do like the Praycocks, and I do really like the blue rainbows. So, beautiful fish.
The blue stands out something really special.
The blues get a bit of a yellow tinge or yellow marking on the male's heads. They're gorgeous, quite high bodied as well, like that traditional rainbow fish, high body, kind of stout looking, if that makes sense. They're cool. The Park and Sonos, I think they are. I've seen them in flesh here in New Zealand once. I think they might have died out now, but they are easily my favourite rainbows. Just an intense orange on them, like it's phenomenal how cool they are. Just this solid, bold orange streak on them. They've definitely been here. I've seen them in flesh with my own eyes, but I think they might have died out now, unfortunately. But they're really cool. Don't go with the tiger bubs, mate. Go with the blue neon rainbows. Far cooler. Cool and awesome that you tracked down a female, David. Now you can have a wee play around spawning them. So the thing that I couldn't read before that I had been able to work out. You feel like you know someone. We can continue this conversation later on, Cam, because that'd be awesome if you do know someone with them, because I would absolutely love some. So if you weren't here earlier, Nick sends us apologies. He had something come up, some family stuff come up, so we've had to postpone until the 6th, so a couple of weeks away from now. Sent me a message early this morning, late last night, saying he's just not going to be able to be with us today, unfortunately. So we'll rock with him in a couple of weeks' time. We're just with us again. But what I did have written down before is that I guess we kind of touched on it before. It's been incredibly busy pre-Christmas and now. So thank you everybody for their patience and with me trying to work through everything. The staff member that we hired, Holly, unfortunately came down with COVID this week as well. So she's been out as well. So it's just made for a little bit of extra pressure, unfortunately. Like I said, I thought we were well caught up or beginning to catch up, and then that little spanner in the works has just pushed everything back again. So if I've not emailed you back or replied to your messages, it's not because I'm ignoring it, it's because I've been away from the computer trying to make sure everything goes out. If you haven't had notification that your order's been sent yet, same thing, I just haven't been able to get around to it. Basically, the way that I work our orders is live fish and frozen foods always prioritise, particularly live foods for obvious reason. And then the frozen foods, which I can manage to do later in the day. And then plant orders always get prioritised over anything with dry goods. They are the three priorities, and from them we just try and work in order as it comes in. That's just how we have to work that. So normally later in the week, if we've missed things because we've been prioritising with live fish, for example, the stuff with dry goods goes out after that. But we do try and go as in order as possible. And for the best part, we normally do. Just the last few weeks, it's been a bit of a basically run into Christmas, and the couple of weeks after Christmas has just been hectic and things have been everywhere, and it's just been an absolute mess. So thank you everybody for your patience. It's just been, just been one of those moments. We're nearly through it, I hope. So hopefully we're ticking away again as of next week, but as we normally should be.
Just suffering from a normal January.
Yeah, it's just
a slug.
Yeah. It wasn't like, I know a lot of people are struggling because they've had to get back to work from having a few weeks off.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad for me because I was pretty much here every day anyway, just trying to keep up with bits and pieces. But the couriers were still closed for several days over that 2-week period of time with public holidays and things like that. So it's just been a mess. And then fish still need to be looked after and plants growing, all that kind of stuff. So so just again, thank you everybody for your patience. We're just ticking away as fast as we can, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all that I've actually got on my list. In fact, it is everything I've got on my list. As I said last week, if there's any guests that people want us to try and contact and get hold of, please feel free to leave them in the comments, send us a message, and we'll try our hardest. The other week, someone suggested Chris Lukup, which I haven't got around to doing yet, but it hasn't been missed. It's been written on my list. Just been a little bit full on at the moment, but open to asking anybody who has any relevance to what we do in this hobby if they want to come on and have a chat to us about fish. So I haven't had a chance to ask Rebecca yet, but she's on my hit list as well. I can't remember the name of her YouTube channel, but she often pops up with us here. She's got some phenomenal knowledge, particularly on plecos and feeding and stuff like that. But if you haven't checked her out, she's well and truly worth subscribing to and watching, just for some really, really in-depth information on keeping fish fed, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to try and get somebody on every 2 weeks without fail, aren't we?
Yeah, that's absolutely the game plan. So, 2 weeks for a guest and then 2 weeks for a podcast is how we're running with. And I think it should be achievable. I've got a list of about 15 people that I need to make contact with or have already begun that process with. But like I said, if there's anybody anyone wants to speak to, please feel free to throw some names out there and I'll see what I can do. Cool, write that down. International, New Zealand, hobbyist breeder, someone that loves setting up fish tanks. It's all inclusive. It doesn't really matter too much if they want to come and talk to us about fish, and we think, or you think that they can enhance the experience and enhance the enjoyment for everybody. That's cool. Like Shelley, for example, I think you'd probably be worth coming on and having a chat about axolotls with us one day if you would be interested.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I know you're pretty well knowledgeable on it and producing live food and stuff like that. So that'd be worth coming on if you would be interested one day. You can tell me to shut up by text message if you want me to. That's okay as well. But more than happy to. Yeah, I said breach conversation with anybody if we need to. It's all good. Maybe. Oh, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. No more on the list, so we can just talk about random fish stuff if we want. Yeah. I checked the Java fern growing tubs yesterday. There is a lot of new growth coming in through that, so it's a good start. A couple of weeks back on Facebook, we showed a video that we've just moved everything over to make life a little bit easier. It's getting a lot more attention, a lot more love because it's just more user-friendly, but the Java fern seems to have taken quite nicely where they are. And are shooting out some new shoots, so that's cool. Hopefully 6 months' time we'll have a really nice supply of some good quality, strong Java fern. So,
what else have you got coming through in the plants?
That's right, Java. So Java fern and Anubias we've got in the bigger tubs with the clay balls. I've got Ludwiga acuata is just going absolutely crazy. Some of the Scriptlineti is going really, really well as well. Latifolius chainsword's going well. Amazon sword's going well. So these are all being grown in dirt. And Bulia goes really well for about 3 weeks and it just dies and goes black. So something's not quite working there. I need to work that one out. Blue Hydrophilia is growing really well, but it's not thickening up, if that makes sense. So the stems are staying really, really thin, but they're not quite, fattening. If that makes sense.
Light?
I think so. They're running on just standard Aqua 1 LEDs.
Right.
I have changed the lighting recently because I thought I had too much light going through some of the tanks. We had the Ricky Moss and something else, which I think I just burnt to death because there was too much light. Oh, the Java Moss. I'm not sure. I think the light seems to be going okay because everything else with the lights going fine, but just not that. Had Red Pine going, went really well and just disintegrated on me for no reason. I couldn't work it out. So that's where we're at with that. Yesterday, I spent a bit of time and put some substrate into one of the tanks that I had running and planted a few more tanks. Going to put some guppies in there because I'm on an absolute library buzz at the moment. But just planted some tanks, some more Vallisneria, put some Vallisneria in pots, planted some red tiger lotus. I unfortunately got a little bit impatient. It must be 3 months ago or so. I had some red tiger lotus bulbs and I put them into some pots with rock wool, and they weren't doing anything. And previously I've tried it and it hasn't worked. So I pulled them out, and as I was pulling them out, there was some little fine roots that had begun forming in it. So I'm a little bit annoyed at myself that I pulled them out too early, because if I maybe left them for another couple of months, they would have been forming quite nicely in that rock wall. But you live and you learn. So I'll put them into some substrate. It's about the sword, some Hormanis, some Praviflorus, which I absolutely love. So, more for future needings as opposed to any other reason. So, it's the same sort of situation. It has been for a few weeks now. I'm running out of. I've got plenty of room, but I've run out of glass box space or plastic container space. And if I get more plastic containers, then I run out of shelves.
Yeah.
If I get the shelves, I then run out of light. So just a wee cycle of not quite there. And I think the more of these things that I put in, the more they unfortunately become a permanent structure, and it's not the way that I want it set up. So what I've got is what I've got for now, and then just need to execute plan A to move some things over. Then we can work through the next plan and then just go from there. So hopefully the plumber or the drain layer turns up today, and we'll get that drain clear, and that's the next step moving forward.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just keep trying new ones, and like you said, getting them established, moving them into the next bit, and just keep churning through.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sure a lot of people who keep fish rooms know that obviously fish tanks are quite awkward to move to start with, but it's a process. Like, you have to do this before this, before this, before this to get to this outcome.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it is. I've just got I've written down step 1, step 2, step 3. Right, step 1's done. Cross it off, move to the next, and just working through that way. So Brian had a question up here. What have we got going on? how I have some sort of water living earthworm in one of my Daphne tubs. I'm going to go very likely it is fine to feed, unless it is some sort of parasite. I normally sway on the side of feed it and she'll be right. I probably shouldn't. But that's kind of been the mindset or mentality that I've had when I've found live things. There are some that is a clear no-go. Is it damselfly fly larvae or something like that, which attack fry and things like that. But for the best part, I would personally just throw it in. That's just me, of course. It's not blackworms of any description, is it?
No. Earthworm, some kind of earthworm.
Yeah. Earthworms in general are fine to feed. I would probably go with it should be okay. That would be my I'd chuck it in personally.
Yeah, soon find out.
So we'd be more than happy to get you on, and just want to talk about brine shrimp hatching. That'll be a cool topic. If you want to come on one day, we can absolutely do that. Mm-hmm. We can spend some time, an hour or so, talking about that. It's absolutely going to be valuable for plenty of people. If you're keen to do that, we can book you in, no dramas whatsoever. Yeah, I'm keen. If you're keen,
yeah, I think a lot of people could learn from that.
Totally agree. Yeah, and there's more than one way to do it. More than one contraption, one way of doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just let us know when you're free, and we'll get you booked down.
Yeah. And I read your message last night and haven't replied yet. I was on my list to do this morning. Last time I looked, they were not available at the wholesaler. Last time I tried to contact the wholesaler, I was getting radio silence again. So we'll try again later this week. I got a message from him in December to a message I sent to him. I left him with a question and I haven't got a response yet. So, we'll see how we go. I'll give it another go today. You know your luck. See how we go. But yeah, at this point, last time I saw they weren't available. But like I said, I read your message and I agree. I thought they looked pretty good and a good size compared to the Eheim ones, which I agree with you feel a little bit small sometimes. So we'll see how we go.
Morning, Gary.
I'm
just saying morning to Gary. He's just popped on.
Oh, Gary's turned up. G'day, buddy.
Is that you ran out of coffee, Cam?
I've got one mouthful left. I always have the water with me. Normally this time is my third coffee of the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And about 2/3 of the way through, I feel like I've just over-caffeinated myself often.
Yeah.
So I just try and dilute my bloodstream a little bit with water throughout the stream, or I'll get a little bit jittery and start just feeling a bit weird. So
yeah. Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah. I can happily say that I have dropped my caffeine consumption significantly. And I've stopped drinking coffee for the best part after lunchtime.
That's good.
That wasn't the case last year. I was 3, 4, 5 all day long. Didn't really matter what time. And then I was wondering why I wasn't sleeping. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was still wired. So
yeah, I was going to say, you must be noticing a difference when it comes to like switching off mentally.
It's just so good, though.
I know.
It's just so good. So yeah. Tiger worms. That's interesting. I've not sure I've encountered that. I know when we get the duckweed from our farms, or the supplier who runs it on farms, it comes in with little black worms, but they're definitely not 8 to 10 centimeters long. They're just little small tiny, actually probably red worms, but yeah, there's little small tiny things, and I'll feed them out to the fish in the shop. No dramas whatsoever in the fish at home. So but not tiger worms or anything like that. If the wood was like sitting on the ground and you put it into a tub, then it wouldn't surprise me if it was some sort of proper worm. But I'm be surprised that it's lasted so long, especially if it's been in soil or what have you. Normally they drown after a little while, so it's a little bit surprising.
Do you guys get leeches?
Yes, but they're not that common. I've seen a couple people say they've got leeches of some description in their tanks, but they're not overly common.
Mm-hmm.
One of my customers actually has a little leech farm.
Oh.
He, I think I might have told the story a little while ago, but he bought some medical grade leeches. I don't know the difference between a medical grade leech and a non-medical grade leech. But he bought some medical grade leeches because he wanted to keep them and wanted to do some research on them and learn about them. So he's got a couple of polystyrene tubs, I think, and then he's got them in like plastic containers. So he gets the water circulating around the polystyrene tub to try and keep them cool. And yeah, he doesn't see them very often, but yeah, just a little drip of water, drop of blood every few months, and they're pretty content. So yeah. I thought the same, but I also thought, man, it's really cool that someone's taking an interest in this and doing their own sort of research and experiments and trying some new things, which I thought was really cool. Yeah. So at this point, live food is the majority of what they're eating. Every time I've put in frozen foods or anything like that, they've got really close to it. It looks like they're going to give it a go, and then they just have said no. I've tried Sierra Insect. I've been using it in a pepper grinder at the moment to make it a bit smaller. Same thing. They see it coming down, they look at it, and then just turn their head on it. So there's interest, but they're not willing to take it. I'm theorizing that because they're in with the neon tetras and there's a big moth. There's some frog food. They're in with some neon tetras and a big school of corridors that they're getting a little bit scared away from things like that. And if they were in a tank by themselves, they would probably be more prone to start picking at things like that. So we've tried them on the white mosquito larvae, the black mosquito larvae, the mysis shrimp, and the veggie favorites, or frozen foods. Every time they went really close to it, looked like they were getting there, and then like the other fish came in and got their share, and it kind of pushed them away a little bit. So I think there would be an interest there. They're just not. They're just not attacking it fast enough, I guess, because they're a little bit shy. If they don't sell in the next little while, I might do something with them out the back and set up a little small tank for them and we fiddle around with them because they're absolutely gorgeous fish. Oh, that's interesting.
Fussy.
It's real interesting. You'll go after it even with, okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's the gist of what I've picked up from reading about them as they are. Fussy is probably one word. I was more thinking not an aggressive eater or fussy is probably the right word. They'll sort of pick what they want. I guess I also would consider them a slightly more specialist fish than like a honey gourami, for example. So I think a lot of the people that have bought the licorice gouramis and stuff like that have been aware of their requirements and are prepared or already have things like live food colonies going and stuff like that. So they knew what they were getting in for, which is great. And on that note, we've had them in the shop for 6 weeks now, something like that, but I've finally got them listed on the internet. So licorice gouramis are available on the website now. It's only taken, I don't know how long, but yeah, we're away now.
Yeah. Listen, I'm being summoned away, so I better get going.
No worries.
Have a good weekend, everybody, and we will have a guest 2 weeks' time. So looking forward to that. Cool. I'll speak to you in a little bit. Cam, okay?
Good go, man.
Bye.
Cool. Thank you. Yep. All right, and then there was just me. Okay, cool. They are still available at the wholesaler, I was looking this morning at moths. It's frustrating me. They're still available at the wholesaler. I was looking at them this morning. I don't know how many they've got left, but yeah, we'll see how we go. Yeah, so yeah, I think we've got 7 or 8 on hand or something like that. So yeah, a lot of people have been really interested in the shop and looked at them, but no one's taken them home yet. Possibly because I've been relatively thorough in saying they're probably better off in a species-only tank or in a tank with nanofish, not overcrowded, and the requirements for feeding. So it might have possibly put a few people off. But on the flip side of that, I think it's also a positive thing that the fish are getting the requirements that they need more than just being thrown into a tank where they're going to perish, unfortunately. Another thing that I managed to do this morning, I've been working through a to-do list, but so we've got the betta rack that we set up just prior to Christmas. The first 2 tanks have been set up as blackwater tanks. I have finally finished escaping them, so to speak, so they're ready to rock and roll. The shelf below it is going to be slightly planted, things like dwarf Sagittaria, maybe some Ambulia, some crypts maybe, although they might get too big. But got some aquasoils going in through them with some rock work. So they are pretty much done and dusted as well. The tank below that, I'm going to play around with maybe something like the Sarah aquasoil or some JBL Monado, something along those lines. They're completely empty, but the one below that with the snails, they're pretty much good to go as well. So that wee betta rack that we've got going, which I'll do an update on. I won't do an update this Monday because I'm busy. The Monday after next, we're getting pretty close to that. Still need to work out the hang-on-back filter situation and the lights. The lights shouldn't be too hard to find. I just need to find the right ones that I want. Don't want them super bright, but want them bright enough to show the fish off, essentially. But there's the filter issue that I'm sort of struggling away with a little bit at the moment. So I'll work that out, and then yeah, we'll be good to go with some bettas in the 20-litre tanks and the shop sales tanks. Yeah. Cool. Enjoy your day. Have a good one. Yeah, I'll reply a little bit further in full regarding the Oase skimmer when I get a chance this morning. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It always feels weird when we've had more than one person and then just dropping just to me, because I originally it feels like talking to somebody and I'm just talking to myself. But we'll see how we go. So we'll see if we get some questions coming through. How hard is it to import fish from overseas? So that is a bit of a loaded question. So to start with, you need to get a import facility. So you need to get that checked off by MPI. There was various costs thrown around on the price of that. Some say $15,000, others say $60,000, $70,000 to get all that up to scratch. I guess it depends on your ability to build stuff and your ability to follow legislation and how big you want to do it. So once you've done that, you've then got to get that license ticked off from MPI. Then obviously you find your supplier, get your fish brought in. MPI, I don't import, so I'm just doing this off the top of my head. The fish have got to be in quarantine for 6 or might be 8 weeks. I might be totally wrong here. And MPI have to inspect it 2 or 3 times over that period of time at a cost to you. So the MPI vet inspector comes in, make sure they're okay. I think, again, just off the top of my head, I haven't looked too deeply into it. There is a mortality rate of 10% or something along those lines. So if more than 10% of said fish in the tank die, then the whole lot have to be euthanized. Once you get through all of that, then you're away laughing. Again, this is just from the brief knowledge that I have. My numbers are probably wrong, but it's along those lines. From my understanding, you're not allowed to use antibiotics for fish that get sick. So there are some things you can use, but others you can't. I think at some point along the lines, depending on the fish, they have to be tested as well to make sure they're not carrying specific diseases. So it is a bit of an issue. They also have to be available on our available import list, which can be found on the MPI website. So there's a list of fish that are allowed to be imported. If they're not on there, pretty much a no-go. So there's a little bit behind it. I have heard of people that have imported fish via current importers hiring tank space. I want to get this specific species. They go, cool, it's going to cost this much. You pay it, they bring it in. If it gets through, cool. If it doesn't, unfortunate. So there is a workaround that. You've just got to find some facility that will allow that. And to my understanding, there's only 3 commercial importers in New Zealand, and I think there's several small private importers as well that are hanging around. So it is a bit of a workaround, but it is possible. It's definitely not wake up one morning, decide to do it, and get it going the next day sort of scenario, but it is doable. And yeah, I don't know any. Oops, wrong button. Wrong button again. There. I don't know any private importers myself. If there is a specific species of fish that you're looking for, I'm sure that any fish shop can ask wholesalers if they can bring it in, as long as it's on the list. And it's the same sort of thing, like the same thing that I encounter as a fish shop owner. XX person is looking for, we'll just say, blue leucostrus rainbow fish. Cool, looking for it, sweet as. They haven't been available on the wholesale list for 6 months because they're out of season overseas. So you might be looking for blue leucostrus, but they're not available overseas, which means the importers can't bring them in. 6 months down the track, you're like, well, why haven't I got this fish? Sort of thing. It's not quite the same as buying a product straight off the shelf, waiting for the next one to come through. There's a little bit that goes behind it. But yeah, like I said, I'm sure that most fish stores, if you send them the scientific name, if it's available on the list, they can get in contact with a wholesaler and say, hey, I've got someone looking for these. Can you get them, etc., stuff like that. So yeah, most of the commercial, in fact, I think all of the commercial wholesalers in New Zealand only deal with registered businesses and aquatic stores and pet shops and stuff like that. So if you are looking for one, I think you need to either go through a pet shop or a fish shop, or find a private supplier, which like I said, I don't know any of. I'm sorry. So yeah, I did look at setting up an import facility out here. I was quite prepared to go through the process of doing it, but when I spoke to MPI, they had no vet inspectors in Nelson, and they weren't willing to train one into Nelson. So for me, I had to get someone from Christchurch or Wellington. Basically, the minute they walk off the premise of MPI, flights, accommodation, all that kind of stuff has to be paid for by me. So it just became a cost that wouldn't become economical. So that's why we're just sticking with the way that we're sticking, and let the people that do the importing continue to do the importing. If there's a particular fish you're looking for, just send me a message after this, and I'll see, if it's available on the lists, on the import list. We'll see if we can find it for you. If not, unfortunate, but yeah, it's unfortunately how it works. So yeah, so we've been just under an hour. Got plenty of stuff to do, and I've still got stuff on my to-do list that I can very happily cross off. So at least there's other stuff that people want to have a wee chat about, I might disappear. Frozen Food Friday is due to come out about an hour's time, so get amongst that. We'll have it on YouTube and Facebook. It's a good time. Also, if you haven't left us a review on Google or Facebook, we'd really appreciate it if you did. Good, the bad, the ugly. Bad stuff helps us grow. Good stuff makes us all feel better. We'll feel good about what we're doing. But yeah, happy with constructive criticism if there's things that you think we can improve. But yeah, be more than happy if you could please, leave us a review on either Facebook or Google. Either whatever works for you works just fine for us. So on that note, I'm going to go. Hope you all have a really good day. Ooh, am I able to contact you? Probably. Yeah, sure. Send me a message via email or Facebook. I can't quite remember which way you were messaging me the other day. But yeah, feel free. More than happy to help and talk and talk about my experience and things that I've found that works well and what doesn't work well. So more than happy to do that. All right. I'm out of here. Have a good one, Tim. Happy fish keeping. Catch you later.